32 laps complete. Blaney, Bell, Hemrick out front. Here's a special moment earlier in pre-race. U.S. Army Chief of Staff General Randy George and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson took a ride around the track in an Army ISV up on the banking there. Well, this race has completely changed. While we were in break, it became go time, and the front four drivers took off from the pack. Here's Christopher Bell's audio.
Well, let's try to fix the pace up here. Everybody's saving so damn much, it might end up hurting us on the back. I don't know what else I can do. I can put my foot down, but I'm not going to go anywhere. Maybe you can get in front of the 12, and he'll push you. He'll go. He's in our same situation.
Well, it's like they listened and heard Cliff Daniels say that to his driver, Kyle Larson. He told him that very thing. Them holding it back on us, 60% throttle, is only helping us. The card that Blaney, Bell, and those guys have with this, nail it. Go for it. Let's go wide open, drive off from these guys, force them and their hand to try to pit with us. Don't give them the leverage.
Yeah, and the other thing that has happened in the middle of the pack, there were guys like, oh, this is going to be a great time that I can make up some track position. Let's drive to the front. And then the guys that were already there were like, well, I don't want to give up my track position, so we need to go a little bit faster. So there's a bunch of different agendas on everything that's happening. But the 12 car and Christopher Bell of Ryan Blaney and a 20 car of Christopher Bell put everybody back in a decision-making process to say, okay, do we want to keep our track position and try to keep up, or do we just want to sit back here and ride? But it kind of forced everybody's hand, and those guys are just going to have to do what they need to do and not help everybody.
Yeah, totally. It was only benefiting the cars that pitted, not them.
So the top 10 on the restart are still the top 10. However, that long run, four drivers actually got completely away from the field before everybody else picked up. And now Joey Logano's pulling that outside lane back to the front again.
Now we have a race. Now you can see everybody turning them horses loose and going for it. Logano, big runs on the outside off his teammate Cindric behind him. Now you see three Penske cars on the outside with Blaney pulling up.
Yeah, and what happened in the pits is everybody's going to say, well, we got this much savings and we can go this far. So it obviously looks like everybody feels like they need to go and feels comfortable about going. But the three guys who didn't pit, they're not going to make it to the end of the stage.
Not without help.
Look at these down markers. This is how fast they're moving, almost a football field a second here at Daytona. Larry Mack, how much has the pace picked up here?
Yeah, in the last 5 laps, it's about 3 seconds a lap. And by my fuel calculations, the 12, the 20, and the 31, Blaney and Hemrick and Bell and Blaney, they can go about another 8-9 laps based on this pace right here.
Pretty hard to believe you can hold a pack of, what, 37 cars up behind you, 3 seconds a lap, Kevin.
Well, you got to be able to put yourself in a position from a strategy standpoint, and that's one thing that has come into play with this car. There's so much going on behind the scenes with the war rooms and the pit box and the calculations, and it's a complicated game, and it just makes it that much more exciting when you have that early caution and everything happening. Jamie?
Well, Austin Cindric in the 2. You guys talked about him being a teammate to the Penske boys. He won this race in 2022. He knows how to get around, knows what to do, and he just heard those words he wanted to hear. You are good on fuel to the end of this stage. Hammer down.
Well, that's good for us too. When they tell him hammer down, that means we're going back to pushing and shoving and trying to get the best position that you can, because now we're 27 to go in the stage, and you got to start positioning yourself to try to win it.
They were like a bunch of geese. I don't want to go up front and burn more fuel. You want to go up front and burn more fuel? No, I'm going to sit right here. No, I'm going to sit right here. I don't want to be out front. Yeah. Nobody wanted to be out front until finally somebody did.
Yeah, they're typical racers. Once somebody wins, it's like, well, I got to go.
But once that crew chief told me, we're talking about Austin Cindric, told me you're good to go to the end. Now it's all about track position. Now, just like we know about Daytona, find my allies, find my teammates, and get this thing to the front. More importantly, get it to the front with people that I can trust at the end of this so I can go after these stage points.
4 Fords out front, then Christopher Bell's Toyota, then Daniel Hemrick's Chevrolet. 3 Penske cars and Michael McDowell kind of fulfilling the preseason prophecy of how those Fords have speed and run well together at Daytona.
There you saw Cindric move down in his line with his Penske teammates. You saw him wave to Blaney, which let him in right there. Thank you very much, teammate.
All right, what's the difference between seeing your teammate, your real teammate from your team in your mirror versus anybody? Oh, here we go. They're going to pit.
That wasn't a wave that thing to let me in. That was a wave we're pitting.
And drag others with them. This should be gas only, like all green flag pit stops today. Christopher Bell going to get it filled up. Ryan Blaney is in.
Big time heads up play by Bell and company on that 20 car. He didn't get the signal that we're going to pit. That was a heads up play. He saw them. They needed that pit stop and he went with them.
Daniel Hemrick came in with the Penske cars and Christopher Bell. They don't all leave together. 2 stragglers, including Hemrick. And up in your upper left, you see the cars leading each of those 2 groups now that Michael McDowell is the race leader. More stops. Well, one more.
I think that's Buescher.
It is Chris Buescher for RFK.
By himself. I would think that's an untimely, unplanned pit stop. Possibly an issue.
"24 laps to go." That's Josh Berry right in the middle. Got up there kind of close to Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch in the outside in the 9 and the 8. Chevrolet trying to lead for the first time today. And it's Chase Elliott rolling to the front for Team Hendrick, but nobody with him. Michael McDowell, the Fords formed up on the inside to hold the lead.
Yeah, kind of a confusing cycle here, Mike, with the Penske cars coming to pit road with Ryan Blaney and some of the, we obviously knew the 3 cars that were going to have to pit, but we saw Brad Keselowski come in, we saw Ryan Blaney come in, Joey Logano, so we saw a few Fords, and I'm not sure.
Well, we heard Larry say they could make it to the end, but I think it was those cars we were talking about. Did they go down to help their teammate that they knew needed a pit, or was that not the case at all? Maybe a little bit of strategy.
We'll try to find out. Chase Elliott comes off turn number 4, trying to be the first Chevrolet to lead this year's Daytona 500. 46 laps complete, and this game has changed. Chevys are out front in a single file line. Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch 1-2, then the Toyotas of Bubba Wallace and Martin Truex. But the real drama here is with Team Penske, which all pitted together because Joey Logano and Austin Cindric needed less fuel than Ryan Blaney because they had stopped earlier. Look where they are on the racetrack. And Blaney, who pitted at the same time, had to take more fuel, was stopped for another second and a half. Look where Blaney is.
Yeah, he's way back here. Way back here.
Here's Ryan Blaney.
Let me know if you need more, please. I mean, yeah, they're pulling away from me. So they won't fan out if they're risking stage points. Okay, they get no help from me then later in the race. No, thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll explain under caution what exactly happened. You know these three cars that stayed out. Ryan Blaney was one of them. His teammates were not, and his teammates were the ones that had the shorter pit stop, and they couldn't afford to wait from him because Ryan Blaney is going to get caught by this pack unless these guys pit. But Joey Logano and Austin Cindric were able to have a shorter pit stop, and that's what we're going to continually talk about with the pit strategy.
And also on the same strategy, Bell and Daniel Hemrick, they're the ones that were even back further than that. They're going a lap down, getting into 3. These guys are in trouble without some help.
They were stopped under green for 6.9 seconds, 2.5 more than Ryan Blaney. So here comes the field to put those two former leaders a lap down.
Yeah, and one more thing to clean up there as we talked about on that pit cycle, Chris Buescher, who we thought had a problem pitting by himself, actually wound up in that same Penske group. So there was no problem with Chris Buescher.
Still 16 laps to the caution flag that will end stage 1.
You see them getting up, Bell and Hemrick getting up. You're going to see Blaney. This is going to be a battle to stay on that lead lap and get that lucky dog, Kevin.
Now you don't see Michael McDowell, who pitted with that Penske group earlier. What happened there, Josh?
Yeah, well, an issue for the 34 of Michael McDowell. He just came over the radio having an issue and had to come in and pit early. Take a listen.
Everything okay with it? Just situationally got left by everybody? I don't know. It kind of seems a little bit slow. Like the 11 was pushing me hard. I wasn't going anywhere, so I think something's wrong. I can't even get fifth gear. Super slow. It's not going at all.
Yeah, and it's either there is something actually wrong, or when you're in this pack, and we talked about picking up 2-3 seconds, and when your car doesn't have somebody with it and it loses that RPM, it just takes a little while to build back up, and that could be what Michael's feeling.
Now Ryan Blaney pulled up to McDowell hoping to draft with him, but McDowell doesn't have speed. If there's a saving grace here, one of them will be the first car one lap down, and the next time the caution flags, they'll get the free pass and come back on the lead lap.
Spot on. Now we got to go to work, Kevin. We got to get up there, got to catch these other cars, battle for that lead lap lucky dog position.
There are 5 cars one lap down. Bell, Hemrick, Blaney, McDowell, and Allmendinger.
How's Kyle Busch get to the front? Look at this. Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, those boys went all the way to the front leading this pack.
Quarter distance, 51 laps complete of the 200 will run today in Daytona. Chase Elliott out front, side by side.
You don't have to be in the race to be in the race. The NASCAR Powerball Playoff is back.
The 58 is going to win in Phoenix.
Enter now for your chance to win a VIP trip for 2 to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship race at the Phoenix Raceway, with the grand prize winner taking home $1 million. The race for the million is on. Powerball, the official lottery game of NASCAR and home to the NASCAR Powerball Playoff.
Feeding time, and this looks like most all of the Chevrolets coming to pit road at lap 55.
Well, and this is the hand that Ryan Blaney forced when he took off. It made all these guys not be able to save fuel, and now they're short for this particular stage, so here they are.
Not much fuel at all. Quick splash and go.
And they'll be pretty strung out as they come off pit road.
Busch beats them off of pit road. It's like Eric Jones stalled it, leaving his box.
Yeah, and that's what you don't want to have happen. You want to do everything that you need to do to get on and off pit road as clean as possible to get right back in line and up to speed.
Now there's that Penske group, 38 seconds behind the leaders, and here's another group. Bubba Wallace, the race leader, locks it up coming to pit road, bringing Martin Truex with him. Denny Hamlin, all the Toyotas in this time. Again, these should be fuel-only stops. And Hamlin's the first one away. Now, if there is strength in numbers, it will be in this group forming up quickly in a draft, because here come the leaders through the tri-oval.
There they are. You see them merging back onto traffic, too. Kyle Busch leading. They're going to blow right past them, Kevin.
Yeah, and they got formed back up really well. Off of pit road, in a single file line, all Chevrolets right there.
Did a better job.
They just did a better job.
They were cleaner coming on, more efficient coming in. You saw Bubba Wallace slid, stack that line up a little bit.
And that's what you want to do. That's exactly what Bubba Wallace wants to see happen. He wants to see those cars have to make a lane change in order to slow them down just a touch.
Now that group is Kyle Busch in 9th place on back of the Chevrolets who pitted. Here are the leaders. Noah Gragson from Las Vegas, Todd Gilliland, Josh Berry, Justin Haley, David Reagan, Ryan Preece, Chase Briscoe, Riley Herbst. The Fords are all lined up in positions 1 through 8. Christopher Bell, first car 1 lap down, second in line here.
See Blaney in tow right there behind him.
Well, the things that we can't see are exactly what they've done throughout this stage since they pitted to save, and what those strategies are. But one of the strategies that these guys might be on is that they might want to come to pit road they want to run as long as they can so they can come to pit road the most short amount of time that they can come and put fuel in it. So I'll spit that out eventually, but here they are.
I do agree with you. I know what you were saying, and that's what they have to play.
Larry?
Yeah, we've got 7 laps to go in this stage. Now, one thing about the 10 of Gragson, the 60 of Reagan, and the 41 of Preece, they came in and topped off at the end of that caution before we went back racing. Fuel calculations show they can run about 6 or 7 laps, and they're coming right now to 6 laps to go in this stage.
So the leaders, led by Gragson in the number 10. If you look at the map at the top of your screen, he just crosses the line. This group's lap times are not as fast as the group led by Kyle Busch in 8, the Chevys, or Joey Logano in 22. They are pulling away from the leaders.
They're running 50% throttle, though, I'm hearing. They're trying to make it, trying to stretch his fuel as far as possible. Talking about Noah Gragson leading that group. Got 3 different groups running out here, as you can see in the track map ahead. This is a strategy game right now, Kevin.
I'm glad I wasn't a crew chief.
They're going to pit.
Josh Berry coming in for 4 tires. We expect the others will be fuel only. Gregson and Gilliland, the 10 and 38. The 3 had been running positions 1, 2, 3 here. And Ryan Preece comes in with him. Excuse me, that's not Preece, that's the 51. That's Justin Halen.
Well, we see these guys putting 4 tires on the car, and that's going to put them in a position to have more strategy in the next stage.
Haley gets fuel only. The others take on tires.
And what I mean by that is when the caution comes out for the stage break, these guys are for sure going to come in and just put fuel in their car.
That will hand the lead to the driver who a month ago wasn't even scheduled to run this race, David Reagan, who is added to Team RFK, Roush Fenway Keselowski, as a teammate to Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher, with Ryan Preece right behind. Here's Reagan's radio.
I'm just going to leave it on 50% throttle and do it. And just make sure the 41 knows this.
Yeah, copy. He was just down here talking about or 41. They know where we're at.
You see him. I'm going to leave it at 50% throttle, and I'm going to the end of this thing. That is what we're going after. How about Preece? He was the one that barely missed that wall, was collected in that wreck, just might ended up with a second place out of this stage. This is going to be close.
Meanwhile,
50%, the question is, will this pack catch him at 50% throttle?
Meanwhile, Christopher Bell and Daniel Hemrick, when those leaders pitted, they got back on the lead lap, and so did Ryan Blaney. Michael McDowell is now the first car 1 lap down. So in the map at the top, you see 60. That is Reagan, the race leader. Kyle Busch in 3rd, with a group that is running 5 seconds faster a lap.
All right, Kevin, I listened to you at the top of the show. You told me all the manufacturers, you go in as a driver, you're listening, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to pit at this lap, we're going to do it together. We're going to do it as a manufacturer group. Holy cow, look down this list on the pylon. They're all over the place. 2 Fords leading, Chevrolets, a gaggle of them, and then Toyota's behind them. They're all over the place.
Yeah, I think that the first 2 guys are, they're going really slow. Obviously, you see that the Chevrolets eat them up there, but the Chevrolets and the Toyotas are together as we go through this first 2 packs here. So it's the Chevrolets have done a great job in doing what they need to do on and off pit road.
Well, Reagan and Preece, they might make it to the end of the stage, but it won't matter. They've lost the track position and, moreover, the points that they were going after, stage points.
But they should be able to stay on the lead lap, which will keep them in the top 30 for stage 2.
Well, and what's going to happen as we see 2 to go here, they should be able to start racing here and do what they need to do to try to get themselves in a position to get stage points. So it's either 2 to go or 1 to go. It depends on what the manufacturer has told them, what the team plan is to get to that point as to when you can race.
That's exactly right. And I see 2 teammates, Hendrick cars behind them. Look, 1 in between Daniel Suarez. Then you see Larson already going to the outside with Bowman. Look for Chase Elliott and his teammate as well, Byron, to go up. 4 Hendrick cars pouncing on your leader. Coming.
The points earned in each stage, 10 through 1 for the first 10 finishers. They carry with you all through the season. Some of these teams are counting points beginning right now.
How about this? Byron moved up to go around him. Busch made a block, separated those Hendrick cars. Now Chase Elliott to the lead. Final lap of the stage.
Lap car slow on the bottom. Chase Elliott trying to bring them around and pick up the stage win after a truly disappointing 2023. Kyle Larson, teammate to Chase Elliott. Will he ride with him? Will he try to grab those 10 points and the stage ticket for himself?
We see Ross Chastain coming to the back bumper of the 5 car.
Gonna see a push. Gonna see momentum. Watch this 5 going to the outside of Chase Elliott.
That's what it took. Now
Big push by Chase. I think the win goes to Chase Elliott. Fantastic.
Chase Elliott gets his 2nd stage win in the Daytona 500. 6 Chevrolets in a row come to the green and white checkered flag. Stage 1 is history. Elliott the winner. So the stage ends with 6 Chevrolets out front. The Fords of Reagan and Priest completed the stage and then immediately dove to pit road. So they'll have to start out back, but they are on the lead lap. And the first car 1 lap down, A.J. Allmendinger, gets the free pass. He'll be back on the lead lap. Well, as they come to pit road, sounds like a great time for Daytona 500 Fox. Crank it up.
Go. All clear, go.
Kyle Larson wins the race off pit road. John Hunter Nemechek's car has lost fire. They tried pushing him out of the pit. He is now stopped. And Tyler Reddick had trouble getting going. Finally, Reddick, grabs a gear and gets gone while Nemechek's car is sitting motionless on pit road. The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Busch Light. Race for the mountains. Enjoy responsibly. 68 laps complete. John Hunter Nemechek did get his car refired. Turned out he had run out of gas, was trying to restart it sitting there on pit road. He did. He rejoined the field. Let's recap pit stops, beginning with Josh.
Start with the 48 of Alex Bowman. For him, the first time in 7 years he did not start on the front row. Still happy with the way the car entered the race, but right now he was complaining about rear security, so they helped him out. Also gave him 4 tires and fuel. Regan?
Chase Elliott in the 9 car has been pleased all day long. Not a word about how the car is handling or what's going on, just him quiet on the radio, learning to work with brand new spotter Trey Poole, who is on the roof. The first different spotter Chase has had through his Cup career. Also, the 45 of Tyler Reddick stalled on pit road as well. The reason for him stalling was actually came in at too much of an angle into the pit box. Didn't want to gas it up too hard with fear the back would swing over and hit the wall. Jamie?
Well, Regan, today is the 40th anniversary of Hendrick Motorsports' first Daytona 500. The whole team knows it, and they want this win. And how about that? All 4 of their cars finished that stage in the top 5. As far as Kyle Larson, he is so happy with this race car. They didn't make any adjustments there, just 4 tires, but he's been happy all week long. So keep your eye on Kyle Larson, guys.
Thanks, Jamie. Number of cars coming in to top off, and penalties. Kyle Busch had a safety violation on his stop. You're only allowed 5 men over the wall, and a man behind the wall fell over the wall trying to catch a tire, so he'll restart out back. John Hunter Nemechek's team was over the wall too soon.
I agree with you, Jamie. Keep an eye on Kyle Busch. Needed that track position. Didn't work out with Blaney so much and all those guys that were back there with him. But he's a guy in a backup car. Started at the back. Now we're reestablished. We're back on stage 2 here, and Kyle Busch is at the front.
You don't have to be in the race to be in the race. The NASCAR Powerball Playoff is back.
The 58 is going to win in Phoenix.
Enter now for your chance to win a VIP trip for 2 to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship race at the Phoenix Raceway, with the grand prize winner taking home $1 million. The race for the million is on. Powerball, the official lottery game of NASCAR, and home to the NASCAR Powerball Playoff.
Can't take it away from these Hendrick cars, though. They've been strong. They've been kind of quiet strong, Kevin. We've been keeping an eye on that 5 car, but boy, are they at the front.
Well, we saw them work together there at the end of that stage, and we've said for a couple days that Kyle Larson's been a great pusher, so it's no surprise that he's up there.
The new Toyota Camry XSE leading the field here at Daytona. Stage 1 complete. We roll into stage 2. And we will restart with 34 cars on the lead lap. Here are the points earned in stage number 1. Chase Elliott getting the stage win. Jimmy Johnson 2 laps down, long pit stop with the hood up. He's rolling back out now. Micah McDowell 3 laps down after repairs, and Austin Dillon with mechanical issues went to the garage, came back 53 laps down.
Weird seeing your car up front, Hot Rod. Look at that.
Josh
it is a little
Berry.
bit weird.
Front row with Kyle Larson. Big crowd on hand for the 500 and the 300-mile Xfinity race that will follow tonight. Back under green, stage 2.
Hook back up to you. Up a half behind you.
That's Josh Berry's spotter, Eddie DeHunt. 16 spotter changes for 2024. A lot of movement there. Eddie DeHunt from Chase Elliott to Josh Berry.
Yeah, Eddie DeHunt has a lot of experience with being on Chase Elliott's radio for a number of years and now on Josh Berry's radio. The reason Josh Berry is up in the front is because of that 4-tire pit stop that they made under green. They only had to do fuel under caution, and now they are up in the front of the pack.
Same for Todd Gilliland in that red and black 38. Second car back on the outside. Same strategy as Berry.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on Todd Gilliland there. He is just, as we ride on board with Denny Hamlin, Todd Gilliland's on the outside in the 38 car right there. Always does a great job, I think, on these super speedways and finding something that makes it happen to get to the front. And here comes that third line, Clint.
Huge run on the outside, 3 wide. I was trying to get it out of you. How about Joey Logano off the bumper of Chase Briscoe in that 14 car? We are going to the front and doing it in a hurry.
And right with them is the 51 of Justin Haley, who finished 10th in the Clash. That's the 51. Haley said, that gave us a lot of hope coming to Daytona. Hey, We beat teams that have more employees and more square footage in their gift shop than we have in our race shop.
And he's another one that's done a great job on the super speedways. Has won here at Daytona in the Cup Series before, and always seems to find his way to the front, right behind Joey Logano right now.
Like seeing that Joey Logano. We heard you talking about Eddie DeHaan and the chemistry between these drivers and their spotters. Listen to that guy telling you how far is he back, moving back, feeling the energy. All right, here comes Briscoe on the inside, staying in line with them. Nothing like that. Being that feeling of being up front and watching in the rearview mirror, those lines form behind you.
So Haley, who has a July race win at Daytona in the 51 for Rick Ware, and down on the bottom Chase Briscoe in the 14, who is now the senior tenured driver at Stewart-Haas.
Well, he almost needed a tow truck right there, because Josh Berry was all over that back bumper, and they got really squirrely on the inside line and broke that line up.
A lot of energy in the outside two lanes here.
Still bid 3, 1 out front. Let it jump in middle with you. Still 1 out front. Now half out front.
That's Drew Herring, Martin Truex's sponsor, the number 19.
Yeah, and that mistake by Josh Berry and Chase Briscoe on the bottom has just completely demolished the bottom line. You see those guys slip all the way almost to the back of this whole pack here, and really taking 3 lines down to 2, and then 1 line up in the front.
Yeah, all that energy moved to the outside, shuffled them to the back, and away they go. Just trying to establish again. Denny pushing Byron, see if they can get this bottom going back to the front, pointed in the right direction.
Chris Buescher has joined the party, now 3 Fords out front of Kyle Busch's Chevrolet.
Yeah, and here's that replay of Josh Berry on the bottom, and those guys just a little bit off center, and then Josh tried to chase his bumper down there, and it was too late at that particular point.
Look how far it stacked him up behind him. You saw everybody's flames start blowing out of their exhaust. That is everybody lifting, seeing trouble ahead. That was a heads-up move by not only the drivers, but those spotters telling them, checking up in front.
And it just changed the whole dynamic of the whole pack by just the ebb and flow of the way these lines move.
Late afternoon in Daytona Beach. Sun in your rearview mirror down the backstretch, sun in your face entering turn 1. Joey Logano in front of Justin Haley and Chris Buescher. The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Credit One Bank. 79 laps complete. Logano, Haley, Buescher, the three Fords out front. Want a coolie made of Ross Chastain's Daytona 500 tires to keep your Busch Light cold and smooth? You could win one, or one of the other 500 prizes Busch Light is giving away. Enter every lap that ends in a 1 on X using hashtag BuschTona500, hashtag sweepstakes. There's Ross in 29th. One big pack, and way in the back of it, having dropped to the back, Denny Hamlin.
You see him to the back, but let me tell you, who is the benefactor of that? Talked about Kyle Busch having that trouble on pit road penalty. He's back to the front. Logano took that thing up. Busch moved, and Priest, by the way, he had to pit at the end. 25 spots Kyle Busch gained, 23 on Priest. Huge gains by them, passing the whole field on the outside with Logano towing that line.
Regan?
Well, Mike Clint just mentioned Ryan Preece and how good he's doing right now. Keep in mind, early in the race, they had to pit early for damage to repair that race car on the very first yellow of the race. They did a nice job of getting it repaired. And Ryan Preece, if you're looking for somebody to pull for, maybe one of the most blue-collar drivers in the field. If he's not in the race car, he is in a race shop working on a car. He loves to work on race cars. Jamie?
You see the 19 on the inside line, third car back. Something to note is that the Toyota Camrys are brand new this year. They have a new body. Same for the Ford Dark Horse Mustang. And there were a lot of questions how they would run in the draft, how they would feel. Well, Truex very happy with it. More stability in his race car. He can push better. He can be pushed better. He's running in the top 10 right now. Martin Truex Jr., one of those guys that's never gotten the job done here at Daytona or any super speedway track, Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. There he is behind Todd Gilliland in the 38 and Bubba Wallace in the 23 behind that Ford. 3 Toyotas in line.
Well, you see Bubba Wallace down there on the bottom pushing the 38 of Todd Gilliland, and what they need is the third place car, Martin Truex Jr., to stay as close as possible. Bubba gave Todd a huge push down the back straightaway, and you see the flames come out of Martin Truex's pipes, and that's what you don't want at the end of the straightaway. You want to do that as close as you can to the exit of the corner so you get the whole straightaway to push them down. So those guys on the bottom have to work on their gaps a little bit, but that becomes difficult because of the amount of cars that are on the inside line. There's just not that many.
I'm glad you said that, Kevin, and I think that was a perfect example of how those lines work. I always try to explain this as a chain. When all the links are tight, the chain works. When as soon as you get a slack in the chain, it's just like a slinky, and the overall performance of that line goes downhill.
Yeah, and you see those guys as they go through the corners, they go up the racetrack to try to side draft and slow that outside line down. So you'll notice that going into 1 and 2 here, that inside lane will probably go up the racetrack. Well, they didn't get as good a push that time, but they've been going up the racetrack to try to slow that outside lane down. So you see them up there again, and that's why they're not on the yellow line. They want to stay up as far as possible to try to shove that air on the spoilers of the guys in the outside lane.
Also creates that slack in the chain, if you will, that I'm talking about, and it accordions that line. When they go up and pull that side draft off, they get slowed down, and then they get a push. It pushes them back up. You can't get any continuity with your line.
The next stage break comes at lap 130. Larry, too soon to be thinking about fuel mileage in this second stage?
Mike, you read my mind. We went back racing at lap 70, which means if they want to run it long, which I think most people will unless they decide to come a little earlier, they'll go to about lap 110 to lap 115. That's somewhere around 15 to 20 to go in this stage.
Well, when that stage ends, stay tuned for an epic Dude Perfect race made possible by the all-new Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra.
Bubba Wallace is doing just a fantastic job on that bottom lane, keeping Todd Gilliland going forward.
This is that strength that we saw in the duels with the Toyotas and in practice afterwards, Kevin. We saw them being able to push harder than most other brands, and that's exactly what you see with Bubba Wallace being able to do that. See those hood flaps pushing. When those things fly up, just like Larry told us at the top of the show, that means that baby's pushing hard.
21 of 65 complete in stage 2 of the 65th Daytona 500. A little gyro cam action.